I got a couple items here. I got the sniper scope, zooms to the moon and back. And I went around yesterday getting a couple shots around town, just testing the glass, the autofocus, and stuff like that. And people don't really stare when the camera, I don't know, it's about that wide. People don't really stare. And then you do this with the camera, and people start covering their face and stuff because they think that you're some FBI investigator. You want a stakeout or something, but you guys tell me what you think. I got a new microphone. This is a Sennheiser IMI 66 on this pistol grip mount. I don't actually have a stand for it yet. That's coming on Thursday. So I've just been using this can of jalapenos here for my microphone stand. So, welcome to Ghetto Audio Setups with Josh. I hope the quality is great. Today's video is about how Kyle went from $19 an hour to $70,000 a year. We've done a previous video before where he talked about how he worked his way up from a cable guy, a technician, installer, and Comcast guy that comes to your house and does your internet and all that stuff. Anyways, he asked his manager if he could work with software because that's where he wanted to go. And his manager's like, well, I don't know, but we'll take a chance on you. They gave him a system analyst role, which he does Python, some scripting, SQL, database reporting. So if you're out there and you're in a company and you're working customer service and you want to move to the software side, this is kind of a story on how to do that, how you can move within the company, even though you're not technically qualified up front to do the job. It's a good story. I hope you guys enjoy it. Check out the Discord. I revamped all the channels. It's cleaner. You can get help faster. You can ask questions, be part of the community. I added an entrepreneurship section. So if you're out there and you want to build a brand and wonder how I do it, and I hope you enjoy it. If you do, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the live stream later. We were talking about how you worked your way up from cable guy to basically tech to systems analyst, where you're making $19 an hour, and how you could work your way up through a company until recently when you were like, hey, I know my job's temporary. Can you make it permanent? And then now you're making $70,000. Can you walk us through how that happened?
I went to my manager saying, hey, look, I was put in as a systems analyst. I didn't have the skill set a year ago. Going from not knowing SQL to writing my own stored procedures and my own packages in Oracle, not knowing Python to using Python, NumPy, and Pandas for basically transforming my data. So went to my manager and I was like, I need to know if you want to make my position permanent or not. He asked the VP of the department and he got a stern no, that won't happen.
Why?
We're not doing that. I wasn't qualified as far as years experience and I didn't have a degree, so I got shut out. With that being said, though, my manager and someone else ran over to another person in the company that was also a VP and said, we have this guy. Here's all the stuff that he's done in this past year. We're trying to find him a spot in the company. He needs to be somewhere because at this point, I'm a major asset to the company. So he agreed, to basically, I need to apply for this position. The position is a configuration engineer. Go through the hiring process and see if whether or not I do or don't make the cut.
Basically, your job was temporary that you got put into from a tech, and it was facing elimination.
My manager was helping me to get into a position to where I was working with code, writing code somehow. And he figured that doing data analysis was a good start because I'd be writing scripts and things, which I did do. And it was a good footing for me because stuff I was working on wasn't mission critical. I wasn't inheriting these massive code bases. I was writing a bunch of stuff from scratch, creating these small tools. So he was just trying to help push me in the right direction with the power that he has in the company. Only because I voiced out to him, I want to work with code. I want to stay with our company. I don't want to leave. He took a chance on me. I stepped up to the plate, learned all these skills, and did my job. Never wrote queries that locked up or froze the database. Never ran anything that crashed my computer or crashed anything in production or anything like that.
What was the alternative if he said no? Well, you would have had to go back to be just a tech, right?
The alternative was if everything was no, I'd go back to being a technician. A supervisor's position for our maintenance team opened up. I would have probably taken that, gotten a CCNA, gone to be a net admin, and done network automation because you can use Python to automate and deploy networks now.
So that didn't happen. The other VP in the other department said yes. They were like, yeah, let's interview him for a system configuration engineer. So that's quite the gap from systems analyst to system configuration engineer. You got SQL and Python for what you're doing now, and system configuration engineers are hardware, software, basically, mechatronics. So that's Linux, C++, C. How did that interview go? There's kind of a gap.
My interview wasn't actually super technical. Did not ask me a single question about my resume. But he ended up asking me, because I have this eclectic skill set. We have a printf method and the output isn't right. What do you do? That's it. There was no scope, there was no definition or anything. It's just here's some arbitrary question. You have this method that's not working the way it should be working. What are you going to do? My answer was the more, I guess, quote unquote, technical, in depth one of, oh, well, I go look at the method, I look at the types that it accepts, I look at what it's expecting, what it's doing to its input data, and then after that, I would go look to see what's calling this method and then what type of data that it's expecting as the result from this method. And I was told that, yeah, basically that's the answer that he was looking for. And it's just input and output. That's it. But yeah, there was a question about troubleshooting. So how do I troubleshoot problems and issues? And what I gave my answer for was I usually start at the beginning and work my way down the pipeline until the very end. Because if you do that, you will find your problem. I'll do it that way, or I'll work backwards from end to beginning, just depending on the situation. And I was told not to do it that way, but instead to do a bidirectional troubleshooting, and bidirectional kind of like a bidirectional search. So you have a big problem, cut that in half. You search one way. If you're not getting traction that way, you search the other way. And if you start to get some, now you have that half, cut that half in half and figure it out. That's all there was to it. And then I was also asked, what is the beginning? The code bases that I'd be working with aren't something small that are a couple hundred lines. No, you're talking about massive C++ header files and also just massive C++ code base. So what I defined to him as beginning back to him was beginning to me is some arbitrary space inside of a problem that you currently have, and you start from there and you work your way forward is what the beginning is, because you're not going to start at the main function of a program and then work your way through everything. That's asinine, and you're going to waste a lot of time. You're going to waste a lot of resources doing that. So what I told him is it depends on where you are in the workflow, what's breaking and what's happening. That defines beginning. So I gave an example as to the problems that I work with were smaller ones that had to do with internal processes, like, oh, this file is getting messed up. So it's, where does this file come from? Third party or us? And then what scripts mess with it or monitor it or do validation on the records inside of something.
Did they not quiz you on any of your prior knowledge? I mean, I guess they don't care, right? Because they already took the chance and they know that you can learn how to do things.
I'm guessing what happened is I have this technical pool. With that, you should have some skills that abstract over to anything else, no matter what. And on there on my resume, I had put on there that I have an excellent ability to identify root and underlying problems in a system. So with me saying that, he was more concerned about my thought process as how I was to troubleshoot something, because I'm in charge of configuring interfaces on devices that have never talked to each other before that need to talk to each other. So our software design team builds something, and then I go and deploy that. And I need to make sure that these two devices can speak to each other. So with that being the main part of my job, I think the questions that I was asked weren't more technical, because it's more of, well, oh, this doesn't work now like it should, like it did in the test environment. What are you going to do? Are you going to lock up, or are you going to stick to your knowledge and own it and figure a way out? And when I told him that, he kind of laughed like, well, yeah, that's your job. And I told him, well, yeah, but you would be very surprised at how many people get locked up whenever something new happens that nobody's ever seen before. Deer in headlights. You kind of forget everything, and it's like, what do we do? Towards the end of our interview, I was asked if I had any questions. The first thing I asked is it a multi-step interview? Like, is it multi-phase? And he kind of looked at me, and I was like, well, meaning, is this the only interview in the process, or will there be more? And he told me there's only this one. And basically, I was trying to figure out, do I bring up rate now, or do I wait till later? Because I don't want there to be a phase 3 and then I'm the goof that says, oh yeah, what's the rate? And it's like, oh, well, we're not there yet. So I kind of turned the tables on them, trying to pull a certain information so I could play my cards right. So I asked him if it was multi-phase or multi-stage interview. He said no, just this one. So then that's what I hit him with. What's the rate for this position? And he didn't know, so he wasn't going to wing it. He took me over to the senior recruiter. Senior recruiter showed me the number, and it was for 65K. I decided to kind of push the envelope a little bit and said, well, will you go to 70? Just to kind of see if they would or wouldn't. I didn't want to do anything too big and drastic because I have no idea what they were going to do. I just saw the number that they were willing to do. And he just folded basically the cards for me to show me. And the hiring manager looked at the recruiter. The recruiter kind of thinks for a second and goes, yeah, that's within 10%, so we can do it. Industry value in Austin for this position is 83 to 85K. That's max. And I know my company doesn't do that, so I kind of figured it was going to be junior dev pay which is 65K in Austin.
And then now you get full benefits, you get healthcare, but you were just hourly worker before. Now you've moved up to like, where do you go from
Yeah.
there?
I asked them if I could get in writing a growth plan, and because with the position I was in, I wasn't projected to grow with either my skills nor my hourly rate. It would just be you go into management or something else like that, which I didn't want to do. Can we get it in writing that we're gonna have a growth plan for me, and within that growth plan, if I get X credentials, X milestone markers, that I'll get paid X amount more money per year without having to go into that senior position that's basically unobtainable by anyone unless you're around for 15 years or something crazy. And he told me, yeah. So that means I could go off and get my LPIC, which is Linux Professional Institute certification, level 1 and level 2, which is all for Linux system administration, bash scripting processes. You basically breathe the Linux operating system. So I'm gonna go after that certification to get a little lump money and just build skills that are within my scope of work that will make me more robust, even to DevOps, bringing a DevOps mindset and practices over into it because I'm doing server state configuration mainly.
Any advice that you'd give for other people working in a company trying to move lateral or vertical?
If you're in a company that offers something you want to do, but you're not doing that, talk to management and ask what they can do to help you get there. Some people will help you, others won't, but you don't know unless you ask. That's what happened with me. I told my manager at the time when I was on install as a hardware tech, hey, I want to work software. Okay, so show me. So I started taking some small steps into that, making the right moves. So I went from install to maintenance because then I was working with our internal software. And then I was creating little scripts and little tools, and then he kind of helped me that way. If you're in a position where you're not doing code, but your company offers it, network internally. It's not always about what you know, but who you know. Vertically, so you are moving up the ranks, and then all of a sudden you think you've hit a dead end position. You need to, if you've hit a dead end, it's probably not a dead end. It's probably a pivotal point to go somewhere else in the company, and you need to look at different angles that you have available to you in order to do that. And again, network internally. You just need to voice what it is that you're looking for before you can make a move, because you don't want to make a blind move to some other company and then later down the line, you figure out like, oh, I could have done X in my old company had I just asked.
When would you decide to quit and go to a different company versus try to push the boundaries of your own company?
I would say after the fact that you figure out that nobody's willing to give you a chance and nobody's willing to help. Say, for instance, that you put in the hard work for, say, a year and a half, 2 years, and you can show your work because you keep a work log of all your successes and everything. Tangible items to say, here you go, here's this code, or here's this issue, or here's this Jira ticket that proves that I know what I'm doing. People constantly just tell you no, 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 like you can't unless X or Y reason. That's when you decide, A, am I going to put my resume out there and go somewhere else? Or B, am I willing to stay where I'm at and wait that amount of time and then try again at that point? I saw myself as an asset. I know a whole lot about my internal company. You can convey that you know a lot about your product and what your company offers, because then it shows that you're an asset to the company. You're one less person to train. You have a good knowledge base. More than likely, management is going to try to keep you and find you a spot that's good. Look at all of your angles and all of the possible options before you decide to call it quits, and only call it quits if it's truly something that you don't want for your career anymore and you're not willing to wait X time for it to get there.
Drop the mic. You gotta drop the mic. Grab your vape, drop the vape.